The iron count has been reborn. I have been recently playing, in which case players may have noticed, but there will be a game change for the iron count, in which case I will be putting it as my YouTube name, in which case it's just Try RuneScape. And I'm lucky this was finally able to be available as it did take quite a while, but I'm proud to say I'm back after 1 year and 3 months of a break. Just a little bit of a recap. I pretty much stopped the account because on average you're able to expect to get the Masterwork Spirit of Annihilation every 63 hours. However, I went 65 hours dry, and that was when I was actually keeping track of it. I was previously doing it way beforehand for about 1 week entirely, so I don't know how much extra hours that was, which who knows, I probably am 80 hours dry. But the reason why is because melee was my absolute strongest style, in which case I did have full masterwork, the kiln cape, and the noxious scythe. But I did have a little bit of a problem, and that is because once group PVM people were able to PVM with an iron, excluding dungeoneering, I did have a bit of an issue, and that is because there was a lack of people actually willing to PVM with iron accounts, and I was having so much of a struggle trying to get Calphite King next. Next was another issue for the account because people are like, oh, okay, to kill next, you'll pretty much want to have range, but instead of Armadillo gear, which I did have, like, no, you will need to have the Twin Furies armor, in which case I'm like, okay, I went there. I went 41 hours dry until I got one of the three cresses, in which case I was like, you know what? I'm going to try it with melee. Now, when I was hosting it with the PVM French chat, they're like, no, you cannot melee. You have to use range, in which case that was the biggest downside as I had potentially nothing to do unless I kept doing Twin Furies for who knows, even 100 hours until I was able to get those crests so that I'll be able to have 3-piece tier 80. Now, there was a little bit of an issue, and that is that they're like, oh, okay, you can bypass it, but you'll have to start paying 5 mil per next kill, 1 mil per Calphite King kill, and I'm like, okay, you can leech AOD, although I was willing to do a minion tank as that is extremely easy, but they're like, no, because you're an iron and you only have the noxious scythe, as my other styles were pretty lacking, but again, I was unable to do a lot of other bosses because just of how horrible it was to find people. For those that are unaware of, I do indeed have a max cape, with the exception of Necromancy, as that did come out in the time lapse, in which case I missed a whole bunch of content. That was with the death cost rework, which I'm pretty good and happy about that because my death cost was usually about 1.6 mil. But now, when I look at it, and Necromancy weapons and armor is very cheap, in which case my death costs are as low as about 300k, which, although I only have 70 Necromancy, so it's pretty much going to change once I upgrade my armor better and better. We also did get the Fort Foundry content and all of those building upgrades with their awesome passive effects, which can help for Slayer. Of course, I did miss the Necromancy skill. And because of Fort Foundry, we did get that wood cutting box that does hold logs, which is pretty good. But more importantly, the ore box got reworked so it's able to hold stone sprites, which, as most players may have noticed, I lacked so much bank space. Actually, I was at 1087 bank space. Yes, I found ways to bypass the bank space, in which case, after I did bypass it, I was pretty much unable to load any type of preset. I had to hopefully gather or train any other skills that my bank did previously hold, so swarm fishing was a viable option. We did get a new Incandle Hatchet. Combat XP rates for everything has been dramatically nerfed. Vorkath and Zamrock are released. And pretty much you will notice that I do have a high Necromancy already, and that's because of Penguins, Tears of Guthix, which is a weekly, and then I did a tutorial from 5. I did Tears of Guthix for, I believe, about 4 minutes or whatever, but I got 61k XP drop, which pretty much skipped me from 5 to about 43 or so, in which case I also did Troll Invasion. I waited until it was weekly reset again. I did Tears, and then I waited for another monthly, in which case it was about 2 weeks ago. So right off the bat, I went from 5 to about 63 Necromancy without training the skill at all, which in my opinion was the best thing ever, because since Necromancy is mainly focused on combat, the first starting out levels are extremely slow, in which case I was able to, again, boost it, and then I was invited to raids where I got Tempest Gloves on my first ever Yakomaru kill. But it's one extra bank space, so that will hurt, although hopefully I'm able to get all 15 pieces just for no reason. And then while I was in the process of cleaning my bank, I was like, whoa, I have a lot of seals left from Gower Dungeon 2. I was like, okay, I'll hand them over. Turns out I fully hit the max reputation for all of Gower Dungeon 2, so I did have some extra seals, in which case I did destroy them. I decided to check on my Miscellaneous Kingdom, but for whatever reason, it says that there was 21 weeks left over. My membership did run out, although maybe that's why it stopped at 21 weeks. Not entirely sure how that does work if you are free to play. Maybe they just take a break. The loot was pretty bad in my opinion. It's extremely horrible for herbs, so I'm not really sure what we should actually be using it on. So if you do have any ideas, put down in the comments below, because I would like to have some better resources coming in passively. Before you actually do train Necromancy, I do suggest players to get Impling Jars, mainly if they are a hardcore player or an Ironman, because you will need one Ghostly Impling Jar, which is pretty hard to get, as it's pretty RNG, or if you want, you can spam Hop Worlds once you are at the City of with your Impling Jar. And then remember, if you are unaware of how to get the Impling Jars, if you have any in your bank, or you'll just need to manually catch them at the Alcread Hidden Mine, then make your way to Poro, which is in Xanaris. You are able to right-click the NPC, and I believe it would be Quick Start, and he will always give you 3. Afterwards, you can use these 3 to catch Implings within the area or outside, and then trade, exchange them and stuff, so that you're able to get more Impling Jars, because once you do loot an Impling Jar, it does have a chance to break, so just make sure to pretty much have always 10 or more, so that you're able to just go out through the portal, collect, trade, so you'll never run out ever, which could be a viable money maker. And then you are able to get a Ghostly Impling Jar from, I believe, Thalmon, who is found pretty much to the northeast area, where you are able to speak to Aquila to get the task to upgrade your Necromancy armor and weapons ability once you have completed a little bit of a task or achievements for that. And then while you are doing rituals, this is why I loved bringing the Impling Jars. Passively, while I was collecting, I believe, my 50 or 100 souls or whatever it was, I was able to find 5 ghostly jars, which is actually pretty nice, as hopefully I'll be getting a couple moonstone jewelries, although I would mostly only like 2, since the quest does give you 1, and in which case the Necromancy necklace, in my opinion, it's pretty useless, but if you want, you are able to get all 4. Now, if you are new to the skill, there is a little bit of things to know, and then on screen right now, when you do enter the area from the Draenor Lodestone, you will appear where I marked you are here. You're able to unlock the Lodestone for free, and you want to go south to the dock, in which case you are able to trade the NPC, and you want to buy everything. But you want to buy 2 sets of the armor, and if you go north, there is a Necromancy shop, in which case you're able to buy some weak Necroplasm, basic ritual candles, and some basic ink. And then I did mark the NPC, which again is pretty much to the northeast area, in which case every 10 levels you're able to upgrade your armor and weapons an extra tier. So you will be visiting this NPC very, very commonly, pretty much about every hour or so, unless you did boost a little bit with mini games, and in which case, let's say from level 5 to about 30 or so, you are able to kill the trolls that are found at the dungeon that I did mark south. So you can do this at 30. Just remember, at 10, 20, and 30 necromancy, make sure to get a task from the NPC, in which case it will be very specific, and sometimes you'll want to do like some rituals and or kill trolls, kill undead zombies, kill undead something. Once you do get to about level 50 necromancy, Keela will be asking you to kill Ankus so that you're able to get some heart looking thing. And then it will get a little bit tougher, in which case you're able to choose from the power or tank method. In my opinion, the tank method is faster and easier, as you won't be able to have to kill King Black Dragon, Gower Dungeon 1 and 2 for the Zeals and charge the hammer at the altars and stuff. It's pretty tough since you do have to use necromancy, so it is a little bit harder. But again, if you do the non-combat version, you are able to do rituals instead, which is a very good option if, let's say, you're a skiller and or the bosses are pretty too tough on you, which case you can do it with several people, but that does require you to have friends, in which case I did have that issue again. This Ironman progress video has been pretty much all over the place, where I will be ending off the video showing off where the account is left at. So first off, the untradeable, I have 4.6 billion worth of items on the account. If I do include tradables, it's about 5.8 billion because I do augment my noxious sight. As for the upgrades and the items that this account does have, its magic is pretty good in my opinion, as I have Hellweir weapons and I have the Elite Sea Singer wand, which is tier 88 along with the defender. I do have Blast of Fusion boots. My range is pretty much the most lacking, as I only have the decimation bow and then just one piece of Twin Fury. Now my melee, this is by far the best because I have full masterwork. I have the Noxious Scythe, dual wield rapiers. Also have a ton of malevolent energy. And I did use that Greater Barge Codex. Some additional items, I do have 2 pieces of Torva, a Dragon Rider Lance, and a Zeros plate body, which is pretty useless. And of course, I did get 2 Luck of the Dwarves. As for the bank space, again, I was at 1087 bank space out of 920, as I did find ways to bypass it using the Croesus logout method, because it will automatically be sent to your bank. If your bank is full, it will be sent to your inventory. But now, if your inventory was full, it will still somehow go to your bank. So I was able to play around with some items, adding probably about 22 additional items if I was able to be good with some drops. In which case, my bank space is now at 866 out of 920. Thank you all so much for watching this and enjoy the rest of your day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or comment down below any video suggestions or questions you have, and I will try to answer them. And enjoy the rest of your day.